Welcome to the Bill Cartwright Show with Steve Cohen. Our special guest today is a ping pong specialist. This is something I'm really unfamiliar with, and I'm really curious about. Wally Green. Wally, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I always start off like this, but I really want to know a little bit about you. So talk about where you grew up, talk about mom and dad, and maybe some of your siblings.
Yeah, so I grew up in the projects in Brooklyn, Marlboro Projects. I had a pretty hard life growing up. My mom and dad divorced when I was really young. I grew up with an abusive stepfather, and that led me to join gangs at an early age. So at 13, I was already doing the gang thing and guns and violence at 13. And yeah, my life as a kid was not the ideal life that a child should have. But through my sport, I was able to come out of that life.
So talk about that. Talk about a normal day when you were in high school. What was that like? Were you an athlete at all?
Yeah, so I was always an athlete and I played every single sport. And the reason why I played every sport was because I didn't want to be home. So if I played sports, then I would have to go to practice in the morning, practice in the afternoon. And then by the time I get home, I was pretty numb to the stuff that was going on. So I played literally every sport in high school. Every sport I could get my hands on, I played it. And it kind of helped me because in order to stay on the team, I had to pass, because everybody always wonders, like, man, you were gang banging and you had good grades. And I say, yeah, because I loved sports. And in order to stay on the team, you had to have good grades. So I wanted to stay on these teams and I wanted to play sports. And that's how I got into this whole sport thing.
So talk about yourself, and it's your senior year in high school. So what are you thinking about after you graduate?
Wow. So, oh man, senior year in high school. I remember that. Um, so my first sport ever was basketball. So played a lot of basketball. I played varsity, played junior varsity. I played on traveling leagues, but the problem was I wasn't growing. And when I first started playing basketball, I played small forward. So I only learned small forward position, and I was good at it because I could jump really high. I was really strong, but towards the later years of high school, like I wasn't growing. I haven't grown since. And then I said, and then I realized that, well, you know, the NBA is not going to be crawling up your back, buddy. You're just too short. Like I was too short to play a small forward, and I never played point guard. So I remember I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to college. I was still doing the whole gang thing, and I just wasn't sure. It wasn't until after high school where I kind of figured out, or where life took a change, and then I knew the route that I wanted to take.
So talk about that. Talk about your next step and that discovery of what you wanted to do.
So, like I said, I love to play sports. I started shooting pool, thought I was really good. I got hustled for some money, and I got angry, broke my pool stick, shattered all over the place. And out of anger, like I always had anger management issues as a kid. And out of anger, I saw some Asian kids playing ping pong. And I was like, I'm gonna go over there and mess with these kids. So I went over there because there was some ping pong tables in the pool hall, and I was like, hey, I want to get a hit. And not because I really wanted to hit the ball, but I just wanted to be a bully. And I was angry I broke my pool stick. So I took the paddle and I just swung at the ball, went on the table, and the guy was like, what? Do you play? And I was like, no, I don't play this. He was like, there's a club, a ping pong club, in Midtown. You should go check it out. And I was like, what? What do you mean? There's a club for this? There's no way there's an actual space where people go and play this sport. It doesn't exist. And I actually didn't even think it was a sport. And but as an athlete, I was like, you know what? I want to go check it out to see if this is real. And I went down there and I saw people playing, and it was amazing. People were standing back from the table, hitting the ball hard and sweating, and you can see all the muscles activating. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And I got really interested. And no one would play with me though, because no one knew me. So that was the first start of me even seeing the real sport.
So talk about how you advance in that sport.
So a particular individual came up to me one day because I didn't have a partner and said to me, hey, do you have a partner? I said, no. And he says, well, I need a partner and I'll pay you $20 to play with me. And I was like, whoa, $20. Yeah, for sure. $20 was a hustle. I didn't have money. He's going to pay me $20 to hit with him. And I sucked, right? But I could hit a ball. I was good at every sport. And so I was okay. So I would play with this guy, twice a week. He'd pay me $20, right? And that was a hustle. And we would talk, and I would talk about what was going on in my household. And then I would talk, I will always let them know that my gang was my family, and these are kind of things that we did and whatever. And for him, it was like a TV show. So he never really believed it or understood it. Because if you don't know anyone in that life, or if you've never been around it, there's no way to understand how a 13-year-old, or these teenagers have guns. There's no way to understand this. And so one day I went to the club to play with him. A gun fell out of my bag, a 22 caliber, and he saw it, and he was like, and his eyes just like, and so everything that I'd been telling him had just came together. And the first thing I thought was like, damn, there goes my $20. I'm not gonna make $20 anymore. It's a wrap. And I was like, I gotta go, because I didn't know if he was gonna call police or not. 2 days later, the guy calls me and says, hey, are we still playing? And I was like, okay, yeah. I was thinking $20. I don't want to lose $20. Let's play. So I played with the guy, and he goes, I want to invite you to my house. So he had a house near Hunter Mountain, which is 2.5 hours away from New York City. And he brought me there to meet his family, which was weird because you usually don't bring kids that guns fall out of their bags to your family. It was just weird. But I think he was trying to show me what a real sense of family was. So I went there, played with his kids and his wife and ping pong. And then he says, hey, I really want to help you. I'm going to pay for you to go to Germany to learn ping pong. And I was like, what? Yeah, that's what happened. He paid for me to go to Germany to learn ping pong. And the craziest thing about this story, the real craziest thing is that he never once mentioned the gun that fell out of my bag. And I think maybe he knew what he was doing. I don't know. But if he would have mentioned it, if he would have said something to the effect like, you shouldn't be doing that, I would have probably never talked to him again. I would have just ghosted, and I would have just, and yeah. So it's amazing.
Talk about that. Talk about the fact that he was willing to take you to his house, and that obviously he felt that that you had talent, and he was comfortable enough to be able to pay for you to go to Germany. That's remarkable.
I think it's crazy, but they always say that sometimes you have these angels that are in your life and that watch over you, and I think I'm almost sure that he was that angel in my life at the time, because if it wasn't for him, I would be dead or in jail for life. I wouldn't even be here right now talking to you. If he never came along and never said, hey, I want to give you $20 to play with me, I would have probably never really got into the sport, and I'd have probably been stuck doing what I was doing.
So talk about what you learned and what your experience was when you were in Germany, learning how to be a great player.
Wow, the experience was really difficult. It was for me because even though I got taken out of the hood, away from the gang, away from the domestic abuse, it was still me. It wasn't like I changed because I took a flight. I was still that same aggressive, angry kid. But something really weird happened. There's a term called killing you with kindness. And it's a real term. It is so real. And what that is, I was very angry, and I wanted I wanted to be angry. And when people are saying, oh man, you're from New York. Wow. You're from America. Wow. We love America. We love New York. Wow. It's so great. You're so great. You're so great. Right. But I want to be angry. And I want them to fuel the fire, but they're not fueling the fire. They're pouring water and love all over the fire. And so what happens is you get confused. So I got confused and I didn't know how to react. I didn't know how to react to people being nice, to people genuinely being nice. And a lot of people at the same time being nice. So it was overwhelming. And I was like, just mentally like struggling to figure out how to act. And then after like a month, something came to me and said, Wally, why are you angry? You're not where you were. You're not in that domestic abuse household. You're not with your gangs. You're not being shot at. You're not shooting at people. You're not doing any of these things. You're not even in the same country. And people here are showing you real, true love. And the love is not coming because of what you can do for them. It's because they genuinely like you. What's your problem? And it clicked. And I was like, why am I angry? I had no reason to be angry because I wasn't in that environment. And then once I was able to change my mindset, I could understand that not everyone in the world was out to get me, because that's what I believed. And I became more willing to accept the friendship and accept the love that was coming to me. And that was the start of the change of my life. It was the mindset change. And that's how I changed.
So after you're in Germany, oh, by the way, how long were you in Germany?
I spent a total of 6 months almost in Germany, about 6 months, because I spent 2 at the school and then another 4 with some friends that I had previously met at a tournament that I went to go check out. I didn't play, I just looked at it, and I was just talking too much to everyone. And so they were from Germany, some top players, and they said, if you're in Germany, let us know. So I took them up on the offer.
Talk about that real quick. Talk about, because I don't know, I play big pong, but tell me about, what do they teach you there? Technique?
Oh man.
How do you become a great ping pong player? How do you do that?
It's really brutal. So a lot of people don't understand like that. So I'll explain it this way. So ping pong is the number 2 sport in the world next to soccer. It's also one of the fastest sports in the world, right? Now, in order for you to react quickly and move quickly, you have to be very strong. If you're weak, then you cannot be explosive. It's impossible for your body to be explosive if you're weak. So with that in mind, like we have to go to the gym, we have to do a lot of running, there's weights involved. So there's on-table training and there's also off-table training. So the off-table training, of course, is going to be your weights. It's going to be your running, lots of running to build cardio, because unlike most sports are explosiveness, right? Followed by rest, followed by explosiveness, followed by rest. Ping pong is continuous explosiveness, no rest until that point's done, right? So if this point goes for 100 points, it's 100 points of you, bah, 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 bah. There is no rest. So you need very strong cardio, legs have to be strong, core has to be strong. So that would be the off-table stuff. And then we have the on-table stuff, right? Because it takes literally less than a tenth of a second to make a decision, it's hard for you to think what you're going to do. So you have to anticipate what you're going to do, and you have to think of it like chess. If I play this, he might play this, I might play that. And in order for you to react that way, you have to do certain drills. So we have drills where we take a big bucket of balls, huge balls. Someone's going to stand on the side of the table, and they might feed maybe, if you think of a table, right? You split it in half, right? You say this is forehand. So they would say 1 ball to forehand wide, 1 ball forehand middle, 1 ball forehand wide, 1 ball to backhand, 1 ball forehand from backhand side, 1 ball wide forehand. And it would be like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, depending on what country you're in, is how long you're going to do it for. If you're in America, it's 5 minutes. And 5 minutes of that, I've had pro tennis players come try this, and they're all breathing hard. 5 minutes is hard. In Europe, they do 7. In China, they do 15. 15 minutes is beyond craziness, but yeah. but the workouts in the training, it's a lot of repetition, So when I post my videos and stuff, I might be doing some drills, and they say, "Oh, why do you keep hitting to the same spot?" Because in order for your brain to automatically pick up things immediately, you have to have repetition. So our sport is based on a lot of repetition.
So you finish Germany 6 months. So what are you thinking? Where are you headed? Are you going to be a professional player, or what are you thinking?
So at this point, I love the sport. At this point, I love it because I like sports that are very difficult, and ping pong is really difficult because there's so many little tiny things that most people don't know about that you have to learn. It's pretty much the only sport in the world you can play 20 years every day and still be really bad, because there's certain things that you have to learn. If you don't learn them, there's no way you can be good. So I'm in love with the sport. I come back to America, and I think maybe a year later or something, I played this tournament in Chinatown, right? And it's mostly a Chinese tournament. It has a few other people who are not Chinese, and there was one kid who had just came from China, and he was visiting, and he was really good. So I got to play against him. And as we were playing, the kid was making all these noises. Every time he made a point, he was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I was like, what? So I started to bring the ghetto out. I was like, all right, I can play this game. I was like, that's it, baby. Every time I made a point, that's it, baby. Come on, take him down, send him back. I started talking trash. And lucky for me, Rockstar Games, which is one of the biggest game companies, they're very well known for Grand Theft Auto. They were there scouting people, and I didn't even know this. I was just being me and just bringing the ghetto out. And then they came up to me after the match and they said, "Hey, Rockstar Games?" I was like, "Yeah, Grand Theft Auto. I love that game." And they go, "Well, we want to make a video game." And as soon as they said we want to make a video, I was like, "Yes, 100%." Well, it's Rockstar Games, and they want to make a table tennis game, the world's first real table tennis game, ping pong game. And I was like, "Wow, it's crazy." So I helped them make this game. I did the motion capture. I'm the default motion of every character that they have there. And after that, I was like, you know what? I want to play pro. I'm going to see if I can get them to sponsor me. So I went up to one of the people. I said, "Hey, I want to play on a pro tour. Do you think you guys would sponsor me?" Because I had a very good relationship with them. And it was like, "Yeah, sure. Just come up with a budget." And I was like, "Oh, budget? What's that?" I didn't even know what a budget was. What do you mean budget? What's that? So I had to go look it up. What's a budget? Oh, okay, I got it. Oh, a detailed thing of everything that I would need, when, dates, and everything. So I looked at the year of tournaments, pro tournaments, and I wanted to play all of them. I said, I want to play all of these, all 16 or 17 countries. I want to play all of them. So I just started thinking how much it would cost me to go here, there, came up with a budget, and they supported this budget for about almost 2 to 3 years. So I just played pro competition all over the world. I wasn't even ready for the pro competition yet. I wasn't even ready, but I had the money to do it. So and plus I was playing really well in America, because you cannot enter the pro tour without the US team, because you're representing the US team. So only the US team can enter you. You have to say which one you want to play, and then they will make the accreditation for you and enter you. And then that's how I started playing pro, because I had the money to do it.
So, so how you said you played for what, 2 years?
Traveled entirely.
So talk about that. Talk about your best experience there.
Already,
yeah. Let's talk about your biggest win when in this 2-year period.
Wow, you know what's funny? The biggest win actually didn't come from the pro tour. It came from the local tournament. My biggest win ever that I say is my biggest win, it came, and I'll always remember this because I teach it to my students. I was playing in a local tournament actually, and I started off really slow. And I was playing against this kid, and the kid was so fast. Everything he did, serve fast, boom, 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 boom. And the kid was actually maybe 250 points lower than me. So if you think of chess, like it's not even my level. and I was losing to this kid. I was 2-0 down, 2-0 down, 10-6. The game goes to 11, 10-6, like 2-0. And the kid was just killing me. And then I took a break and I started to think. I said, Wally, what are you doing wrong? You need to figure out right now what you're doing wrong. What can you do better? What can you do better to win this match? And then I realized that everything this kid did was really fast. Like even when he served, he got the table, boom, serve, fast. And then I said to my mom, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna slow this game down. Everything we do, we're gonna take our time and we're gonna slow it down. Because every time I went to the table and serve, he'd rip the ball. So what I started doing was when I serve, I would get the ball, I would hold it in my hand, I would look at him, I would look back at the ball, I'd bounce on the table, look at him again, then I would serve, but I wouldn't go like this. I would go really softly. And that threw this kid off. It threw him off. Like he just could not, he could not figure out what was happening. And all I did was I just slowed the game down. I slowed him down and I wind up coming back and winning that match. It's crazy. Unbelievable. That for me is better than any win in the Pro Tour. It's the best win of my life was that, because I remember it so well. And I mean, to be down to this kid who wasn't even my level and to figure out a way what can I do better? What can I do better? And to be able to execute and it happening was the best win for me.
Well, I know Wally and I know his story, but I mean, a lot of this I hadn't heard before. And I think that I would love for you to talk about how you became such an entrepreneur and all the spin places, you know, and how that's a different challenge from competing, you know.
Yeah, so with spin, we used to have these parties. Yeah, so I met 3 guys. They were filmmakers, and they were at it. It's funny because everything in my life happened through ping pong. It's connected. So I was at another tournament, and I was playing somebody, and and the coach of the person was being really annoying. Like, you're not supposed to be yelling out to the player while you're playing. And he kept yelling out, and I got really upset. And I was like, yo, man, if you don't shut up, I'm going to punch you in the face for 10 minutes. and the 3 guys started laughing. They heard it. It was like, this guy's crazy. And so after my match, they came up to me. They was like, oh, my God, you're so funny. They was like, we have this table in this loft apartment that we live in. We're filmmakers, but we love ping pong. We would like you to come down and play with us. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So I would go down to this loft apartment and play with them. Eventually, I wind up staying at the loft apartment. And we started making these parties, right? So we'd have one table and we would invite people to come over to play ping pong, right? And everyone just tell your friends, you know, bring your own beer, whatever, and let's have a fun. And it was more of a fun thing. People would tell their friends. Then it got bigger and bigger to where like we started getting sponsors. Like Puma gave us like 2 more tables. So now we had 3 ping pong tables in the loft. We said, you know what, let's make a website. We made a website. We called it Naked Ping Pong, because naked was the state of mind that we were in. It meant like living life freely and enjoying without worry, naked ping pong. But also a lot of people thought naked, whoa, what's going on in that apartment? What, just naked ping pong. So our parties got really big to where we started getting sponsors, like Red Bull sponsored us, alcohol companies, beer companies. And they all said, well, we can't give you any money, but we'll give you free product. And we're like, okay. So now with the Naked Ping Pong website, we got the sponsors. We said, okay, how can we make money from this, right? So we came up with the idea, you know, you can't sell alcohol in your apartment. It's illegal. You will get kicked out. So we said, you know what? Let's make a tournament. We'll make a tournament. We'll charge $20 for everyone to come in, and it's unlimited drinks. So you can give it away. So we put together Red Bull, vodka drinks, and all night long you can drink free. You just pay to get in for the tournament. And we started this. Our tournaments got really big to where huge companies were like, hey, we want to have the Naked Ping Pong party. So we did the we did the Super Bowl when it was the Arizona years back. They flew us out to Arizona to this huge mansion, did a Super Bowl party with 50 Cent and Vitamin Energy. We did pre NBA halftime show with our Naked Ping Pong party. And we just did a lot of stuff. And in the process of that, we met the actress Susan Sarandon. So that's how Susan's involved in our club. You know, she came to our Naked Ping Pong party, and and that's how we met Susan, and that's how Spin started. And now we have, you know, Spin, which is, you know, ping pong lounge, restaurant, bar, event space, you know, and it's just a fun place to be. What we wanted to do was we wanted to, like, ping pong is a real serious sport. It's very, because it's so fast and it has so much focus, like you really need to focus. Everybody is really uptight and very serious as ping pong players. Ping pong players are very, very serious. So we wanted to remove that seriousness and make it fun, because everyone at one point in time has played the sport. So we wanted to make it fun and fun for everyone. So that's how we came up with the idea of Spin.
So how many different locations of Spin are there?
So now we currently have eight. We have 8 locations of Spin. We just opened one in Boston.
Okay, so where are they?
So we have New York, we have San Francisco, we have New York, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., one more New York, Boston, and I'm missing 2, Boston, Austin. Oh, but Austin is closed, so Austin doesn't count. So Austin recently closed. And I'm missing one more. Which one am I missing? Philadelphia. Did I say Washington, D.C.? I said D.C.? San Fran. Bam, there we go. San Francisco.
So what? I mean, we got a lot of states. So what's your goal?
To have a Spin in every state in the world, and eventually go international. I mean, we do have one. Oh, I forgot the Toronto. So we have a franchise in Toronto, but we want to have, you know, like, I want to do Japan. I want to do Tokyo so bad. Spin Tokyo, I think, will be epic. So that's one of my, like, big dreams is Spin Tokyo.
Now, as you're doing that, you said that you had different folks that you're involved with. So how many different partners do you have?
5.
5 partners. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Stevie?
I think that we always like to ask about your family. So I know you have a little one, you know, and talk about that, please, Wally, and talk about what you want your legacy to be as for your kids and the people that, you know, you left behind, like who share that lifestyle, you know.
My thing, the most important thing is that people need to know that change is always possible. It's always possible, but you have to be open-minded to the many possible options that you might have. A lot of times, people don't accept options that they have. They have a certain way that they want, and if that doesn't work out, then that's it. But a lot of times, if you really open your mind, there's a lot of options for you. And if there aren't options, because sometimes there aren't options. You know, sometimes, like growing up, I didn't have options. I had 0 options, right? But when the opportunity came, I could have said, "Nah, man, I don't want your help. Nah, I don't want that." Right? I could have said that, right? But I understood that was an opportunity, and I understood that I should take that opportunity. And I think people just need to understand when an opportunity comes to you, it may not be the thing that you love or the thing that's 100% up your alley. Like, I hated ping pong. In high school, I hated the sport. I made fun of kids. I used to I was on a football team. I remember on the football team, walking through the lunchroom, seeing kids play, and I would make fun of them. And so I hated this sport so much, right? I would never think in a million years that this sport would define my whole entire life. So with that in mind, people should understand like there's so many ways to get to where you want to be. There's so many ways, but you should try to take all the avenues that's presented to you. And hopefully one of those will bring you to where you want to be.
Hey, Wally, you did mention this guy you met, but you never mentioned him by name. So,
Yeah, so I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. There's a reason for that. So for years, right? So I lost contact with him a very long time ago. There was a war in Israel, and I lost contact with him, and that was the last time I spoke to him. And then my life did a 360 degrees, and now I was into everything else, and I was becoming this star, and boom, everything was going nuts, you know, and being that I lost contact with him, I totally just kind of forgot about that, and that was out of my mind. So I couldn't remember his name for a long time, for a very long time. I couldn't remember, could not remember at all. Then the app Clubhouse came out during the pandemic, and I got on Clubhouse, and I'm pretty big on Clubhouse. And I started telling my story because I never really told my story. I've been interviewed before, you know, I've been on Steve Harvey, I've done stuff, but I never really told it myself or wanted to go and tell it. So I started telling it. And the more I started telling it, the more I started getting interviewed. The more I started getting interviewed, the more I started triggering my brain to think. And it wasn't until about 3 weeks ago that his name came to me during a podcast. And it was weird because I was in the middle of a podcast and I went, oh my God, I just got it. And the guy was like, what? I was like, I was like, yeah, I just got it. He's like, what? I said, oh my God, yo, the guy's name just came to me right now. It just popped in my head. I said, you don't understand. I've been trying to think of this name for the longest. And at first I got it wrong. At first, the name that popped into my head was Alex. Then later on that day, I realized it wasn't Alex. It was Alec with a C, Alec. And then I remember, because his face is always, if I close my eyes, I can see his face. But I just couldn't remember the name. And now I remember the name. I wish I knew the last name, though. That would be epic. But I don't think I've ever knew his last name.
wow, wow, that's amazing. That you know, you knew his name, you didn't know his last name, but he must have had so much faith in you. That's a remarkable story.
Yeah, I was very lucky. You know, if it wasn't for him, I would be dead or in jail because that's where most of my friends are. So I was definitely on that road, and yeah.
Yeah, I think Wally, you know, a lot of people have been looking to make your story into a movie and other stuff. And what lessons do you think will impart? I know we kind of touched it, but why are they so intrigued by it? Just the ability to transform yourself?
Well, I think it's because it's I think the most important thing is that it was transformed with the unlikely sport. Nobody in the hood is saying, yo, I'm going to be a pro ping pong player. If you would have told me that, I'd probably punched you in the face, man. Like, what are you, crazy? Right? So I think besides all the mindset changing and besides everything, I think I found an opportunity. I saw an opportunity in something that I didn't even like to begin with. And because I was open-minded, that led me to that thing. So it's about also being open-minded. I think, you know, being open-minded is so important. When I started traveling the world, that made me more open-minded to be more, understand people's cultures, understand people's backgrounds. If someone does something, now I have an understanding of, well, there might be a reason for why they're acting that way. Whereas before, I would have been like, yo, this dude's crazy, you know? So traveling the world, understanding different things, having that open mind, and just believing that, you know, when you hit the bottom is the bottom. You can't go any further than the bottom. So that means there has to be something better ahead. And I think if people just really believe that. Like I believe that I could be in the worst situation and I say, you know what, it's gonna be better. It's gonna be, they say, no, it's not gonna be better. I say, no, it will. You'll see. And I think just having that mindset and knowing that it will be better and it's always a possibility for change.
Awesome. Well, Wally, thank you so much for being on. It's really a remarkable story.
Thank you.
That you took advantage and you saw the signs and you went forward to it, to your future. So, and also, I'm looking forward to checking your place out here in San Francisco.
Yeah.
My skills are not your skills, but
That's all right.
But everybody, I think, has a level of ping pong that they play. That's fun. So thank you so much for being on, and I'm looking forward to staying in touch. We're gonna have a good time.
Definitely, we definitely have to do the part 2. We didn't even touch on the North Korea world peace diplomacy yet. Only one basketball player has been there. That's Dennis Rodman.
that is a story. We're gonna have to touch on that.